Woe to the complacent. That's what we heard in the first reading. Woe to the complacent, lying on beds of ivory, eating lambs and calves, drinking wine, not from ordinary cups, but from bowls, yet not upset at the collapse of their own nation. That's the key line, right there at the end. Their country was falling apart spiritually and socially, but they didn't care. It was no bother to them. As long as they were able to enjoy all the comforts that they had grown so accustomed to and feasting even while others suffered. Their sin was not violence or theft or anything like that, but indifference. And then Jesus drives this message home in the gospel reading. That rich man is not condemned because he hit and kicked and called names to Lazarus. He just simply ignored him. He walks past him day after day. Too spiritually sluggish to even lift a finger. Indeed, woe to the complacent, those who are filled with sloth. If the prophet Amos were preaching today, he might say, woe to the complacent with their endless scrolling, their binge watching, their ignoring the person at work or in the classroom who is hurting. Woe to those who just walk right past Lazarus without even looking up. So now we are at the halfway point of Dante's Mount Purgatory. We've already seen the very base of the mountain, pride, and then anger, pride, then envy, then anger, as I spoke about last week. Next week, greed, then gluttony and lust. Today we're at the dead center, sloth. Pride puffs us up. Envy eats away at us. Anger burns us down. And sloth simply lets us rot. Sloth is sluggishness for spiritual things. I can't muster enough energy or interest or enthusiasm with regards to spiritual things, the spiritual world. So, here it is. I have some spiritual good right there in front of me, like prayer, the sacraments, Mass, the call to holiness, corporal works of mercy, etc., etc. And I just can't muster any energy to do them, to participate in them. So we are not speaking about just, simple laziness in a generic sense. You can be full of energy, full of activity in your business life, professional life, family life, with regards to your own health, and still suffer from sloth, inactivity on a spiritual level. But interestingly enough, people who are not lazy on the spiritual level rarely are lazy in any other area of life as well, because they have meaning, they have purpose, and they're about the love of God and love of neighbor and putting all of this into practice. The response to that first reading that we had, the responsorial psalm, the church gave us, I hope you noticed, a psalm that spoke about the antidote to sloth, the opposite of sloth. It tells us all about zeal. We have the Lord himself modeling for us what we should be doing. The Lord secures justice for the oppressed, gives food to the hungry, protects the stranger, sustains the widow and orphan, etc., etc. And then we have that great reading, Paul writing to Timothy, pursue righteousness, devotion, love, compete well for the faith, lay hold to eternal life. Those are some great verbs, really active verbs. Pursue, compete, lay hold. This is the antidote to sloth. Not just drifting passively through life, just sleepwalking through life, but striving with zeal to do what is right. Dante tells us the slothful in purgatory are forced to run, to constantly be on the move, to run, because in life they had always been so inactive, so sluggish. And while they run, they're made to hear over and over again this little passage from Luke's gospel, and Mary proceeded with haste. And Mary proceeded with haste. Remember, at the Annunciation, Mary is given her mission, and she very quickly says yes to being the mother of God's Son. And then she finds out that Elizabeth is pregnant, so what does she do? Mary proceeds in haste to go help her. Zeal comes from this strong sense of knowing your purpose, knowing your mission. Even the collect of the Mass today, the opening prayer, it was great. It's perfect for this theme. Bestow, O God, your grace abundantly upon us, and make those hastening to attain your promises heirs to the treasures of heaven. You want to be an heir of the treasures of heaven? Well, you don't kick back. You hasten towards it. You compete for the faith. You run with zeal. I think we all know that the world is falling apart around us, socially, spiritually, very much like in Amos's time. People chasing comfort and convenience and pleasure, distraction, but starving spiritually. And the danger for us isn't that we reject God just outright. The danger is that we'll ignore him quietly, one day at a time. We drift into complacency, and then we settle for comfort instead of conversion. And sloth doesn't just affect those who skip Mass for something more important than worshiping God as he is asked. We know very well, all of us here, that we must daily rediscover our mission and run with zeal, run with purpose. God isn't calling us to wait until life slows down. He's calling us now. Now is the time to live with purpose. Now is the time to act with zeal. Now is the time to love with urgency, because the bottom line is this: woe to the complacent, as Amos said. But blessed are you who, like Mary, proceed in haste. Blessed are you who compete for the faith. Blessed are you who discover your purpose and run with zeal, for they will be heirs to the treasures of heaven.